Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. I'm so excited to be here. I see all of you in here. We've got Oregon, Ohio, Texas. Yes, 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 yes. Super excited to be here. So you're here because you want to learn how to meal plan like a pro. And today I'm going to share 3 tips for success and also the biggest mistake I see people make when meal planning. So I hope you're excited. Like I said, we've got Texas in the house, Ohio, Oregon. Hello, hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Every Tuesday at noon Eastern, I share top tips to help you make plant-based living your way of life. We come here live to you in our Facebook group and over on YouTube. And as a quick background, if you're new around here, I'm a real person. I travel the United States full-time in a fifth wheel RV with my husband, John, and our little cat, Eddie. So don't be surprised if Eddie pops up on the table and wants to say hello, because when I get all excited like this, he thinks I'm talking to him. And I'm coming to you live from Florida. It was a super foggy morning and the sun is trying to get that fog to burn off, but it's still a little gray right now. But I'm your host. My name is Kathy Davis. I'm a former school teacher turned plant-based lifestyle and mindset coach, the founder of VegInspired and the Eat More Plants Academy and the Meal Plan Accountability Club. And I'm a 3-time cookbook author. And I help people adopt the habits of plant-based living so that they can meet their personal and professional goals. Weight loss, energy, confidence, wellness, whatever it is, we help you get there with a plant-based way of eating. Now, I've been eating and creating vegan meals for more than 8 years. And over the past 3, I shifted my own daily habits to follow a whole food plant-based lifestyle. And one of those big strategies that I used to reach my personal goals was meal planning. And so I'm here today to talk to you about meal planning. And you're here because you want to learn how to plan like a pro. So, so hit a thumbs up. Let me know if you are ready for this. Drop a smile in the chat. You're here for it. Here's the thing about meal planning. The biggest mistake that I see people make about meal planning, actually, this is even before we get into the mistake. We all think we can meal plan, like intellectually, right? It seems simple. It seems easy. You just write the meals on a piece of paper and voila, you've meal planned, right? And that's fine intellectually. But there are some critical steps in the process to truly plan like a pro, to make it so that your plan is executable, so that you are efficient with your planning, so that you're effective with your planning, so that you are actually planning with your goal in mind. You see, before I get into these steps, these 3 critical pieces, I want to share the biggest mistake I see people make when they begin to meal plan. And you're going to have the feel. So if this lands, if you feel this, drop it in the chat. Let me know. If you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag team replay. But the biggest mistake I see people make with meal planning is they get themselves really busy. They get themselves busy in the process, but they're not actually creating a meal plan. And what I mean by that is they get caught up in what I call the inspiration phase. They sit down at their table, they've got all their cookbooks, and they pull their first cookbook out and they start at the beginning. And 15 minutes goes by and they're looking at pictures and looking at recipes and, ooh, I like this. And they get stuck in what I call the inspiration phase. The inspiration phase of meal planning is done at a separate time in my process. It is a whole different part of the meal planning process. And this is something I cover in the Meal Plan Accountability Club, because you see, the process of gathering inspiration is very different than the process of actually planning the freaking meals, right? Because you need to be planning the meals. You need to be executing the meals. You don't need to be looking cover to cover at a cookbook. 2 different parts. So the biggest mistake I see people make is that they sit down with all their inspiration and they get sucked right into it. They get sucked into Pinterest. They get sucked into the cookbooks. They get sucked into the social media scroll. And the next thing you know, an hour's gone by. They get sucked into watching other people's YouTubes. They get sucked into other people's meal plans, other people's agendas, other people's opinions. And then they run out of time. Because let's face it, time is limited. And they push themselves away from the table and they claim meal planning isn't for them. They can't meal plan. So they just go back to the old way of winging it. Anyone? Is that resonating? Is that landing with you? Is that sticking? Do you feel that? You might actually physically feel it. You might be like, oh, it's like she just gut punched me. Y'all, I am talking about this because I did it. I know what it's like. I've gone through all of these phases. Do you feel it? So how do we become efficient meal planners, effective meal planners? How do we create the space so that we can do the plan and get the inspiration and then actually execute the plan? Do I have people watching right now, either live or on the replay, that have written the plan but not done it? It sticks beautifully to the refrigerator, but all those meals go out the window. There's science behind that. We dig into that in the academy, why you would plan a whole meal and then not stick with it. We dig into that in the accountability club. So we're going to cover 3 tips. Now, I have a whole checklist. I have a whole process. I have multiple variations. These are just 3 tips to get you thinking about how you can attempt and execute and take on meal planning in a different way. So tip number 1 is prepare to plan. Give yourself additional time in your day, your week, leading up to your meal planning time to gather the inspiration, to peruse the cookbooks, to scroll the grams, the YouTubes, the Facebooks, the other people's resources. Give yourself that time to explore the inspirations that you have. Give yourself time to look at what sounds good. A separate time. Maybe it's while the TV's going and other people in your house are doing things, you grab a cookbook. Maybe you create an intention around cooking out of one cookbook, and that's going to be your inspiration for the week. And so you look through that cookbook, and that's how you gather the inspiration. But they're 2 separate times. So tip number 1 is set aside that separate time to gather inspiration. Step number 2 is to set aside a time to plan the actual plans. Set aside a time where you'll have limited disruptions, a time that gives you actual time to and space to plan and to prepare your grocery list. So there are 2 pockets of time. Now, your inspiration time, I mean, you're probably already scrolling social media and you might already be sitting in front of the TV. That can be when you're looking through the books because it doesn't require a great deal of attention. But that meal planning time, you want that to be uninterrupted because you want to plan from a place of intention. You want that planning time to be dedicated, a dedicated time to plan, to be accountable to your planning, to plan in accordance with your goal. You see, because a meal plan doesn't just give you something to follow. It creates order around meal times, around food preparation, around snack times. You guys, we encounter meals, food at least 3 times a day. At least 3 times a day. You plan everything else in your life. You plan your vacation that happens once a year. You plan in your personal appointments, your doctor's appointments, your spa appointments, whatever they are. You plan in, when you're going to take the dog for a walk. You plan in what you're going to post on social media. You might even write a business plan. But something that we encounter up 3, 4, 5, 6, however many times food comes into your brain. My gosh, I don't know about you, but sometimes I think about food all the time. Here's Eddie. I told you he would come. He is a little pitter right now, right? 3, 4, 5 times, right? We're in this inundated with these food thoughts and we're going to wing it. We're just going to see what happens. We're going to see what we feel like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon after a disturbing day or after a long day. Or my gosh, we're so excited. We had such an amazing day. What do I feel like cooking? Well, nothing. Let's just go out. And then we beat ourselves up all night because we went out and now we're not eating aligned with our goals. Stop it. You plan everything else in your life. Why are you not planning 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day for the foods that you think about? Take control of that relationship with food. Take control of the relationship of what you feed yourself, what you feed your family. Use intention, use coordination, meal plan so that you can move forward with intention, aligned with your goals. So you move forward with it. Lisa says, mine's a little different because I prep on Sunday, the veggies and quinoa, and then she meal plans after that. That's a different framework. That might be something that we teach. We just did a whole session on planning for leftovers, planning on how to plan to prepare. But you have to start, Lisa, with that plan of what you're going to do on Sunday. There has to be intention around it. You see, and that's where this comes in. That's where meal planning comes in. That's where what we're doing comes in. And that's what we offer in the Meal Plan Accountability Club. It is a membership. It is dedicated time every week where we facilitate your meal plan, where we guide you through planning from a different perspective. Maybe one day it's on leftovers. Maybe one day it's on planning towards your goal. Maybe one day it's on specific types of foods, Valentine's Day recipes, planning with intention, planning for leftovers, planning on batch cooking, how to plan, how to prepare, different frameworks, different strategies, different recipes. We share ideas. We share what's working for us, what's working for our clients, and we help you become a more efficient and effective meal planner in accordance with your schedule. You see, my whole philosophy is founded on the fact that if I give you a meal plan, nothing happens. Because you might not have the time to cook the meal that I put on the meal plan for Tuesday night. You might not have the energy to cook it. You might hate half the ingredients in the recipes that I cook. So if I give you a meal plan, nothing happens. Nothing changes. But if I teach you to meal plan, if I hold you accountable to it, if I create a space for you to flourish and thrive and make meal planning a part of your life, then your life changes. So that's what we do. The Meal Plan Accountability Club interests you. If you're having this itch, you're watching this live, you're watching the replay, you have this pull to access this level of support, to help activate this habit, just comment link, 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 and we will send you the link. Now, before I get into step number 3, I want to remind you, if you haven't seen, the prices for our Meal Plan Accountability Club are going up on Friday. Our founding member offer is ending. We only have a few spots left at that founding member price, and I want to make sure that you have the invite. I want to make sure that you know that it's available to you, that it is a club that meets every week, a membership where you come where you are, you pour in, we pour into you, and you become an effective and efficient meal planner. So you're invited. Comment link if that's an interest to you, and we'll get you all the details. Now let's move on to tip number 3. So tip number 1 was to plan to prepare. Set aside separate times to gather that inspiration, to consume the content for what you want to cook, for that meal planning. Tip number 2 was to set aside time to plan with intention. Tip number 3, plan according to your calendar and upcoming events. If you don't take control of your time and energy, someone else will. Plan your meals that fit your lifestyle. Plan for late nights. Plan for those busy days full of extracurricular activities. Plan for those movement mornings where everybody's running in different places. Plan in accordance to your schedule. This is especially important if you're working on very specific goals around eating, healing illness, losing weight, very specific things, very specific goals that you have. You are taking into consideration what your week looks like. You're reviewing and planning your meals in accordance with what's coming up on your calendar. Which brings me to a bonus tip because I love sharing with all of you. Pick meals that excite you. That's why a meal plan doesn't work. That's why somebody else's meal plan doesn't work. Because if those meals don't excite you, you aren't going to cook them. They're going to just keep floating their way to be put off, and then the food will rot in the back of the fridge. So plan meals that excite you. Plan meals that excite you. So tip number one is to prepare to plan. Tip number two is to set aside time and space to plan a meal in accordance with your goals, to plan meals in accordance with your goals. Tip number three is to plan in accordance with your calendar. Don't let yourself get sucked into other people's agendas. And then our bonus tip was to plan meals that excite you. Now, if you love learning about meal planning, I highly recommend that you hit the notifications, stay in tune with us because we have more content on meal planning in the coming weeks. If you feel this pull for meal planning and to join and become a member in our Meal Plan Accountability Club, comment link and we will get you that link so that you can take advantage of those few spots of the founding member pricing. And I will see all of you next Tuesday, same time, same place for another VegInspired Live. Have a great day.